back to the Retro Craptacular podcast, where each month we continue our search for the best bad movies on the planet Earth. I am your host, Aaron, and I am joined, as always, by Matt.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, that was a really good intro, Aaron.
It was clear and concise.
Yes. One might even say crisp.
Mm-hmm. Just wait for the outro.
Oh,
It's
no.
not going to be that.
Oh, okay.
It never is.
Because we'll have been talking already for an hour or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, how are you?
Doing all right. Wearing a scarf indoors.
Yeah.
I may or may not have forgotten that it was on, but never got warm enough to realize it.
Did you turn the furnace off?
No, it's on.
Okay,
I
cool.
turned it up earlier today.
We're going to hear it probably later, but
The
that's
soothing
fine.
sound of
Soothing
warmth.
sound of the furnace, but that's all right. No one seems to mind. Yeah, how's your holiday season?
Not as white as I would like it to be, but I'm usually
Fair.
alone in that. Usually people are like, I hate the snow.
Oh, we don't
Or
get...
rather, usually people are like, oh, I would love it if it snowed for Christmas, and then it snows, and then they hate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but we don't get good snow here. We get a white Christmas for like 3 hours, and then it starts to melt, and then it turns to rain, and then it freezes.
We have a really wet snow,
and then everyone crashes their cars, and it's a nightmare. Yeah. So I also hate the snow.
Yeah, I know.
In a way, if it would just be snow, I'd be fine with it.
But it's also ice and slush.
Yeah, it's what follows that I'm not terribly fond of. That's all right though. I am not what you would call a holiday person.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I'm aware of this.
Yeah. I don't know if we discussed this on last year's Christmas episode.
I mean, probably, but
also our
listen to it.
Brains had just been fried.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
By the Star Wars holiday special.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I don't know. Other than
I guess that's a good question. Actually, it's been a year. How are you doing? This is our yearly checkup on how your rehabilitation has been since being subjected to the Star Wars
holiday
Halloween
special.
Ooh, I said Halloween.
Oh boy, that would be a good one.
Star Wars Halloween special.
Yeah, I'd be down.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't know. Was it really that bad?
Oh no, don't start asking yourself that question. That question leads to another viewing in the future. Tell you what, go back and listen to our podcast and you can tell yourself exactly how bad it was.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I don't remember that much about it, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I remember the circus.
That's not good.
I remember the robot instructional video with the
fuck. Yes.
And I still remember the one musical number that's in it.
Which one?
The B. Arthur with B. Arthur.
Oh, that one.
Just one more round, friends.
Yeah.
And homeward bound.
In the cantina.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. I can't believe I remember that much of that song, but I do.
Yes, you do.
That's terrible. Have you been watching anything?
No, I don't think I've been watching much of anything. I'm trying to think though. It's been a whole month. This last week I didn't watch anything. But,
I had
memory escapes me.
I had a thought the other day.
Oh.
Did we talk about the Detective Pikachu trailer on the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Okay.
Maybe.
I think we did. Maybe we didn't. I mean, I didn't bother to find out if we had, but
doesn't matter now.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It looks kind of bad. Still gonna watch it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks really bad to me. Like,
see, I don't think it looks as bad as it could. I think it could look a lot worse.
Yes. This is true.
But, still gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, I haven't been watching any movies, really. I guess I started watching some shows I'd never seen. One of them old being Veronica Mars, and one of them new being the Netflix's new reboot of She-Ra.
Oh, how's that?
Like, weirdly good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
I kind of watched it just as a lark, not by myself. I was watching with my wife. She wanted to watch it, and I was like, yeah, sure. I'll sit here while you watch this.
Yeah.
And then as I was kind of half watching it, I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And I mean, I used to watch He-Man and She-Ra back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And
Love
I remembered things here and there. And I guess just because of the things I remembered about She-Ra, when I would see them happening in the show in such a more interesting way, like in a much better way, I'd be like, oh, that's a really good idea. I was like, oh, that's a really good improvement on the original, until I was just kind of drawn into it and being like, oh, I'm actually like becoming invested. And it was just the first episode. And I was already like, yeah, no, I want to see how this goes down.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched all of it, so I can't say with certainty this show is good or bad or whatever. But I'm super interested in it, and I want to keep watching it.
I know something you watched for the first time.
Oh.
I don't think we talked about it last episode. I think it happened in between last episode and this episode.
What did I watch for the first time?
Die Hard?
Yes, that's right. My very first Die Hard. I can't believe I'd never seen it.
We didn't talk about this last time.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
This is our December episode. This is our Christmas episode.
You need to tell everyone about Die Hard then.
Die Hard is so good.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even.
Yeah.
Like, I knew there's lots of pop culture references. I knew about it, and like it's been around for so long, and lauded as the greatest action movie ever. And for some reason, I thought that I had seen it a long time ago, but then I started watching it again with my wife, who had also never seen it, which makes it so much more enjoyable. And it started, and I was like, oh, no, I was totally thinking about Lethal Weapon. I've never seen this at all. And this is already way better than Lethal Weapon.
Oh, what? Lethal Weapon's great.
It's great, yeah.
I love the first Lethal Weapon.
I think a part of it is I watched Lethal Weapon and then almost immediately afterward watched Loaded Weapon. And so I can never take Lethal Weapon seriously because of Emilio Estevez.
Oh, yeah, he'll do that.
It's still great, though.
Lethal Weapon is also a Christmas movie that no one talks about.
Yeah.
Everyone's all hung up on Die Hard being the best Christmas movie, but I think Lethal Weapon needs its fair shake.
Maybe we should watch that before the year's up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Die Hard, like, and it's been said to me like, yeah, it's the best Christmas movie ever, and some people would be like, no, it's not a Christmas movie, it's an action movie, and like they're not, like they're mutually exclusive or something. But yeah, someone who's just watched it for the first time, it's 100% a Christmas movie and possibly the greatest Christmas movie ever.
Yeah.
It's right up there with, Muppet Christmas Carol. It's so good.
Mm-hmm. Scrooged.
Yes.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Uh-huh.
And Die Hard.
All great, totally Christmas movies. Because Die Hard is not just an action flick. It is a movie about family and friendships. And love.
Christmas.
And Christmas.
Exactly.
Yep. And it's freaking incredible. It had no business being that good.
Good.
It's so good. And it's kind of hard to describe why it's so good.
Did you know that they originally offered the role of John McClane to Frank Sinatra?
What?
Because the book Die Hard is based on a book.
Okay.
Called something. Which is a sequel to another book called The Detective?
Die Not Softly.
No. Although apparently in Hungary, Die Hard is translated as like give up your life expensively or something like that.
Okay.
Anyways,
Hungry.
It was a movie called The Detective, which they made into a movie in the 60s starring Frank Sinatra. And then there was a thing in his contract where if they were ever going to make a sequel, they had to offer him the role first.
Interesting.
And so they did, and he was like 76 or whatever when they offered it to him, and he turned it down, and then.
Can you imagine though, 76-year-old Frank Sinatra being John McClane?
Oh, it would not be good.
I really like picturing it though. Oh, so old.
So that's good. I'm glad you finally saw Die Hard, because it's I feel like it's just one that everyone should see.
I agree. Yeah. It is a must see. 100%.
Yeah. I have been doing some viewings of things.
Do tell.
I have been watching a Norwegian TV show called Home Ground.
Home Ground.
It's about a professional soccer team in Norway that gets into the top division. They've like moved their way up through the ranks, and they're a tiny little team, but they end up getting into the top division. And then their coach has like a stroke.
Ooh.
Like 2 weeks before the season starts. And they end up, well, the general manager or whatever ends up hiring a woman as the head coach, who is the head coach of this women's team that's like going to the finals of the Women's Champions League in Europe.
Dope.
Yeah, so anyways, they end up hiring this woman, and then so obviously, you know, she's the first woman to ever coach in a top division in Europe in soccer, and there's this whole, tension between the players and her, because, she's a woman and they're men, and the supporters don't think that she knows anything about coaching and all this kind of stuff. So it's like it's really well done. It's really well acted and really well written, and like it takes the like feminist aspects of it like really seriously, and does it well, not in a way that's like
not sitcom-y.
Yeah, or not like ham-fisted. Where she's like, I'm going to be a tough woman because that's what I have to do to get the job done in a man's world. And I'm going to, pull up my bootstraps and be more of a man than the men. Like,
right.
Like she does have to have this like, hard exterior and be
authoritative, right?
Be authoritative,
yeah,
and
coach.
Yeah, be in charge, but like it also deals with like her relationship with her daughter and stuff like that, and
nice.
Like it's really good.
That sounds sweet.
It's really good.
Do you watch it with subtitles then, or is it dubbed? Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's I found it on SBS On Demand, which is like Australia's version of the CBC, I think.
CBC, SBS,
like the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
Yeah.
They have a website where you can like stream stuff, but you have to be an Australian resident. So if you get a VPN,
then you can just do that.
You can just do that, and they had like a bunch of like really good shows and like really good movies, and it's kind of like this weird free Netflix. I can't remember how I found it.
It seems random.
It does seem random. I was trying to watch something. It might have been like an Australian movie, and I was like trying to find like, oh, where can I find this? And then it was like, oh, you can watch it on SBS On Demand. I was like, what is this?
Oh, door opened.
Yeah, so like they had like all of Atlanta on there at one point, which is like the Donald Glover like hip hop show that he did, and like Handmaid's Tale, which is just sadness.
Oh no,
Sadness, the TV show. But yeah, Home Ground is really good. And then I just watched, literally yesterday / finished watching it today, a movie called Happy Death Day.
Oh yes,
I told you a little bit about it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But it's basically like Groundhog Day, but if it was like a teen slasher movie, where there's like this girl keeps repeating her birthday over and over again every time she gets murdered, and she has to like figure out who's trying to kill her and then prevent her murder.
Did he kill himself in Groundhog Day? He tried that
so many times.
Yeah.
Dropped a toaster in the bathtub. He like jumped in front of a truck. He jumped off of a like bell tower. He kidnapped the groundhog.
That one wasn't him killing himself.
Well, and then drove it off a cliff.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, took the groundhog with him.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Anyway, that movie sounds horrible. But like, emotionally, not like it sounds like a bad premise for a movie.
Oh, like yeah. No, I mean it's handled. It's funnier than I expected it to be.
Oh.
Because after a while, she just gets fed up with dying over and over again.
That's fair.
Because I think she dies like 16 times or something like that in the movie. So after a while, she's like, I can't believe this keeps fucking happening.
How old was she turning?
I don't know. She's in college, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyways, the reason I watched it, because I remember seeing the trailers for it and thinking, oh, that looks stupid. Like, that just looks like murdery Groundhog Day. Like, fuck, why would that be good? But then I saw the trailer for the sequel to this movie, and it looked like really funny and really entertaining and like kind of like crazy go nuts. Like it looks like they kind of do like a Back to the Future 2 kind of thing. Where like it happens to her again. And so they kind of redo the first movie, but this time there's like a twist to it, and like I think her friends are also repeating the day with her or something like that. Anyways,
so you wanted to see that one?
So I wanted to see that one. If you have any interest in seeing the first one, I would say don't watch the trailer for the second one, because there is a spoiler for the first one. They straight out tell you who the killer is.
Oh.
Because she's kind of like narrating like, oh, my name is so-and-so, and this happened to me 2 years ago, and, you know, I had to solve my murder, and it turns out it was this person.
Womp womp.
But now my life is great. And then it goes into like, oh shit, it's repeating itself. So anyways, really enjoyed it. Did not expect to. I looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes first, and it had like a 71%.
That's not bad.
And I was like, that's pretty good for like a teen slasher kind of deal. Like,
yeah, pretty decent.
Yeah. So I was like, cool, I'll check it out, and so I did, and I'm probably gonna watch it again.
Sweet.
Yeah. I really dug it, and that is everything I have seen, I think. No, I also saw Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, how was that?
Good, not great.
Okay. Cool. I'd probably still watch it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely worth watching again. I would watch it again.
Cool.
But it's it's not as amazing as I had hoped it would be, but still I'd say an enjoyable watch.
Sweet.
Don't really have a lot to say about it other than the guy that plays Freddie Mercury is really good.
Nice. Yeah, it'd have to be, really.
Yeah. Anyways, should we get into it? We watched Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Santa sets up a fantastic automatic toy factory on Mars. The Martian leader battles the wicked Voldar in a desperate effort to save Santa, the wise man of Mars. 900 years old. The Battle of the Toys, when Martian kids and Earth kids join Santa to battle the bad guys of Mars. For real space-age fun, you'll be out of this world when Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
So this is a movie that we watch frequently. And by frequently, I mean more frequently than every other movie we've talked about on this podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. We have watched it like 4 out of the last 5 Christmases, I want to say.
I think so, yeah.
Because one Christmas we watched. Well, okay, so I found this movie on a DVD in a thrift store, and I was like, "Holy shit, this looks amazing! We have to watch this."
Yeah.
So we got all our friends together and we watched it, and holy shit, it was amazing. And so then the next Christmas, I had found another DVD that also had Santa Claus Conquers the Martians on it, but then it had a movie just called Santa Claus on it.
Yes,
and I remember
the description.
Yeah,
was amazing.
Well, I remember reading the description, and it's like Santa Claus must team up with Merlin the Wizard and the children of the world in order to stop Satan from like corrupting the children and making them do bad things. And I remember like looking it up, and like Santa like lives in like a castle in the clouds, and like and like holy shit, this movie sounds amazing. He has to team up with Merlin to fight the devil. Like how could it possibly go wrong? And yet it was the most confusing and like culturally insensitive thing.
Oh boy, yeah. It was,
because he teams up with the children of the world.
Yes, the children of the world, air quotes.
Yeah, and so like all the Japanese kids are wearing kimonos, and all the African kids are like in like bamboo skirts, or
I doubt it was bamboo,
not
but
bamboo.
yeah.
What's the like
Reed,
reed, yeah, and like carrying sticks around and like hitting the drum, and like the Americans are all cowboys, and
oh my gosh.
the Mexicans are all in sombreros and ponchos. But I think we kind of figured out that this was like a Mexican-made film.
Yes, there were a number of children that should have been from certain countries, but they really just looked Mexican.
Yeah, and like Santa Claus was played by a Mexican actor in whiteface.
It was a strange twist about.
Yeah.
Which, like, I mean, that wasn't, bad. That wasn't the bad part of the movie.
No, that I didn't find it offensive.
It was just
as a white man, nothing offends me.
Oh, yeah.
Except the French, I don't know.
No. If you were American, then that would make sense. But
the French have been nothing but okay to me.
There you go.
I wouldn't say they've been great. Some of them have been great. And some of them have been kind of standoffish.
Yeah, I got elbowed in the face by a Frenchman.
Mm-hmm.
That was more just like we were on the subway.
Oh yeah.
Than like a Frenchman wanted to elbow me.
Yeah, the Paris Metro. You just take your life into your own hands. Sometimes you're just gonna get elbowed and mugged, probably.
Yeah, man. Hold your breath as much as possible.
But it might. Yeah, some of them smell like piss. Okay. Yeah. That's what I meant. I was trying to save face with France. Okay.
Oh.
But
what's face in French?
Face? I don't know. Your
visage?
Visage, maybe.
Is that
your wife's the French speaker?
Yeah, and I'm not my wife.
Yeah, but she doesn't teach you like a word a day.
No.
Oh.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, it's like a word a day calendar, except it's a person. So anyways, we slogged through Mexican Santa and Merlin. Merlin's only in it for like 10 minutes also, by the way.
Which is a total rip-off.
They really sell it on Merlin.
He goes to Merlin for help with like one thing. And then Merlin like helps him, but like doesn't leave.
Like makes him a potion?
Place.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to invest a lot in a film, I have an idea on how we could make Santa Claus and Merlin Fight the Devil movie much better. Hit me up. Slide into the DMs. If you've got like anywhere from like 10,000 to like, I don't know, $1 million. I think that's a reasonable.
Very reasonable.
Yeah. Anywhere in there, I think we can do it. And obviously, the higher the number, the better the movie will be. But
it doesn't need to be that good.
It doesn't need to be that good because it'll still be better than this. So anyways, then the next 3 years in a row, we just decided
Go back to that old classic.
Just let's stick with the gold standard.
Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
It really needs, like, it needs to be seen.
Yeah,
I think.
Like, we're gonna talk about it and talk about why we like it. Cat's out of the bag. We like this movie.
Yeah,
we're
not burying the lead.
We won't be able to do it justice.
No,
it really does. It is a spectacle to behold.
Yeah, it begs the question, why? A lot of the time.
Oh, certainly.
Why was this made? Why did someone think this would be a good idea? Who put up the money for it?
Oh, that was a who question.
Yeah, when they were shooting it, why didn't they stop?
or why didn't they ever say, let's do one more take?
Yeah. Well, I put forward the theory this year that when we were watching it, that they only had like just enough film to get away with doing one take of each scene, and like they had to just get through it. Like I think like they probably made the whole movie in like a weekend. Like it was one of those Roger Corman deals where like he would rent the equipment for the week, shoot the movie, and then realize, oh, it's Friday, we can't take it back to the rental house. We still have the equipment until Sunday. Let's shoot another movie on the weekend, and you'd shoot an entire feature film in 2 days on the weekend.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this is a thing that Roger Corman had done more than once.
Were any of those movies any good?
I mean, not traditionally good, no.
All right, yeah, cool.
But you know, it's the kind of, you know, it's a movie where it's like, what do we got? We got some motorbikes and we got a bear costume, and like, all right, let's put the bear on a motorbike and just kind of see. You can chase some teenagers around a mall. We got this empty mall we can use, like, you know, kind of stuff like that.
Motor bear.
Like someone write a script in air quotes. It's like scene 1, teenagers arrive at mall. Scene 2, bear arrives at mall. Scene 3 through 18, bear chases teenagers around mall.
On motorbike.
Yeah. And then you work in, like, you know, a couple of nude scenes and you got a Roger Corman movie.
Bingo.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a real movie, by the way, but
it should be.
Yeah. Bear on a motorbike.
Motorbike.
Oh, I got gold. Someone invest. Okay. So it starts out with a visit to Santa's workshop. That's on the news.
Yep, it very clearly establishes that Santa Claus is real.
Yeah.
Because here he is as a physical human being.
Yeah.
Well, sort of. Human.
On TV. They use the new TV news as like a framing device more than once.
Yep.
To basically, you kind of, you know, you get the layout of the workshop, and then it cuts to the guy who's interviewing him is like, oh, what's this? And it's like, oh, that's just something that one of the elves made up. It's like his idea of what a Martian might look like. They're like, ho, Martian, how ridiculous. And then they pan back, and there's like 2 Martian kids watching it, and it looks exactly like them. Like the doll.
Yeah. Well, for whatever reason, that one little elf knows exactly what Martians
just got it
like.
right.
Like, that's unexplained completely.
Yeah.
But he was bang on.
He's just like the guy in The Good Place that figured out how, like what happens after you die.
Oh, yeah.
When he got really high.
That one dude. Yeah.
And they like have a picture of him on the wall. That's like the elf, where he's just like, I think this might be what Martians look like, and he just like fucking nails it. So the problem on Mars is the kids are watching too many Earth programs.
Yes, Earth programs.
And they don't want to go to sleep.
Well,
or they're not happy.
It's a larger Martian societal issue.
Okay.
Which I can get into if you'd like.
Please.
So Mars as an advanced society, is kind of like up on like biotech, kind of,
A
because
little bit.
like basically since birth, sometime in infancy, and then throughout the rest of their life, Martians are outfitted with computer hats
Yes.
that download knowledge right into their brains.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kind of, Matrixy, I guess. If they wanted to learn something, they could just plug their
Oh yeah.
computer hat into it, right?
It is a precursor to the Matrix in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's another thing.
Maybe the Matrix is actually on Mars, and this is a prequel.
Undoubtedly.
Yes. Wow. We just blew this one wide open.
Yeah.
Anyway, because of this great influx of information right at infancy, they don't really have a childhood.
Right.
And so when they're watching the news, seeing all the joy and wonder that is brought to children by someone like Santa Claus, they're like, what's joy? What's a present? I don't know what happiness is. I would like to feel happiness. So they're glued to the television because they want to know what being a happy little kid is. The joy of Santa Claus. They want the joy of Santa Claus. That's all they want.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Which, when you think about it, is really fucking depressing. But because the acting is just so horrible, it does not come across at all.
Yeah. No. So yeah, what the leader of Mars, whose name is Dormar.
I wonder if I wrote it down. Nope.
Delmar.
I wrote down one name.
Which was
Torg. That's the robot. We'll get
right,
to Torg later.
Right. So, anyways,
they all had names like Domar, Kimar.
Oh, maybe it's Kimar.
Let's go with Kimar. Why not?
Okay. Well, I was gonna make a Taco Delmar joke. If that's still on the table, I'd like to take that option.
It must not be Delmar, because otherwise we would have made that joke while we were watching the movie.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Kimar.
I think it's Kimar.
Children.
Okay, so
Taco Delmar and Pumar.
So Taco Kimar
Yep.
is... There you go. I had my cake and I ate it too.
Beautiful.
Is the leader of Mars, and his children, he has to put them to sleep using the sleep rays on a...
It's more like a sleep shower.
Yeah,
they get a
showers,
like a sprinkling of
sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
very advanced.
They're just lying on a table,
and
then he sprays them with the shower of sleep, and then they go to sleep. And then him and Gomar, sure,
why not?
Decide they're gonna go see their little wizard friend that lives in the forest. Did you write down his name?
No, sure didn't. But I would like to point out one thing about Martian culture that we should be mentioned, and that's that they at one point throughout their evolution decided that things like doorknobs or door handles were just outright idiotic.
Yes. Yeah.
And so their doors react to a very reasonable command, which is pointing at them as aggressively as possible.
The most aggressive point you can.
Yeah, I think
it's a PowerPoint. Really, is what it is.
PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Yes. PowerPoint.
You point at that door and it fucking opens because it knows what will happen if it doesn't.
I think when Kimar first opens the door too, even one of his arms was like akimbo.
Yeah.
And he had it on his hip and it was like point to his children's door, and the door was like, oh fuck, and it opened.
Yeah, yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, no. The doors on Mars, they really know. They know their place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the guy's name is Gomar or Gelmar. We call him Mars Cop because he has a big old cop mustache. But I don't think it's a real mustache.
Oh, it's definitely fake.
Yeah.
When you look at it right on, just because it's a crappy video, it's like you can't really tell. But when you see it from the side, and how much of his face it's not touching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. We should also mention that like all the Martians have like green makeup on, but like not a lot. Like, like they didn't have a lot to go around, so they just kind of like smeared a little bit around.
It's like they put all the costume on, and then did the like face and hand paint, but we're like really afraid of getting any of it on the costume.
Yeah, so it looks like they dabbed it on with like a cotton ball.
Yeah,
and then like once that cotton ball stopped applying makeup, they just threw it out, and they're like, all right, good.
One cotton ball per person.
Yeah,
we only have enough cotton balls for each individual person.
And like the makeup changes drastically from scene to scene. So it's like it's possible that like some days they just kind of ran out of makeup.
Oh, it must not have been in a weekend then. They must have really taken their time.
I guess, or they sweat it off.
Yeah, it's probably that.
No, it's definitely a weekend. So they go see this guy who lives in a cave in the forest.
Yeah. I think it's important to note, too, that Kimar wasn't really going to do anything about his kids. They're like, I told them not to watch those Earth programs. They're getting dumb ideas in their heads. And then his wife, Momar,
yes.
Lady Momo, was like, hey, like, there's an issue with the kids. You're the leader of this entire planet. How about you go do something about it? Yeah. It was her idea.
He was like, oh, fine.
Basically.
I'll go talk to the cave wizard.
Yeah.
So they go talk to the cave wizard.
In the cave, in the forest of butts.
Yeah. There's some trees. Kind of look like butts.
And then, like,
which
also
I know doesn't make sense when you say it, but trust us, watch it. It's they look like butts. Anyways, he just appears in a puff of smoke, and he's like,
so old.
What month is it? And they're like, it's September.
Oh, which is something I hate. I hate it so much. Like, why would Martian culture not have its own fucking month instead of just mashing two Earth months together?
I love it because it reminds me of a Simpsons joke, the Treehouse of Horror, where Willie is Freddy Krueger, and
oh yeah, that sounds familiar.
They're like they go into the school for parent-teacher meetings, and there's a like calendar on the wall, and Homer's like, ugh, lousy Smarch weather. And it's like freezing outside, and then there's a sign that says "Don't touch, Willie." And Homer's like, "Don't touch Willie. Good advice," and cranks up the thermostat, and then that explodes,
right?
And kills groundskeeper Willie.
Him,
yeah. That's a really good Treehouse of Horror, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. Agreed.
One of the best. I think it's in season 7. Check that one out. Anyways, so he's like, on Earth it is December,
which he knows because it's September on Mars.
Because it's September on Mars. Well, obviously everyone knows that.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Maybe some people aren't up on their Martian calendars, but so anyways, he's like, man, it's December and they're having Christmas, and you gotta get Santa and bring Santa back to Mars. I don't know if he actually says that, but
oh no, that's like pretty much exactly what he says from what I remember.
He tells them to go get Santa.
Doesn't he?
Maybe. Basically,
I think what he says is that Mars needs a Santa.
Mars needs a Santa
to cheer up the children.
Right, and Kimar is like,
cool, there's one on Earth.
Yeah, let's go get him.
We're
gonna go kidnap Taco Gomar. Come with me. We're going to kidnap Santa and maybe get a burrito bowl if there's time.
And it's in this scene that Mars Cop really establishes himself as against Taco Kimar.
Yeah,
like he is the opposing force. He's against his authority. I actually have a quote of his that I wrote down.
Read the quote.
Just before crazy old wizard appears, Mars Cop is talking about why are we out here? Why are we talking to some old crackpot about, our issues? Why don't we go solve them ourselves? This doesn't make any sense. And one of the other dudes, I don't think it was Kimar, but one of the other dudes tells him, you can't ignore the ancient wisdom. To which Mars Cop responds, I can.
Yeah.
So indignantly. I love it.
Can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's got so many good lines like that. Like, to jump ahead for a second.
Yes, please go ahead.
There's so basically they go to Earth, they find some children, and they're like, children, we need your Santa. And they're like, well, Santa lives at the North Pole. They're like, great, come with us. And then they go to the North Pole and they get Santa, and they're on the spaceship. And Mars Cop does not like the children or Santa, and he tries to push them, or like to blast them out of the airlock. And he's like, oh, let me show you the airlock, blah, blah, blah. If you ever go, if you were in here and this door opened, you'd get sucked into space. Anyways, bye. And he like closes the door. And then he goes to the control room. He's going to like open the door to blast them out into space. And then for whatever reason, there's an air vent in the airlock.
Yeah. To pump air back in, I guess.
So.
Was why?
Sure.
But why it's a big tube that leads into the room, I don't know.
Well, because they needed something chimney-like that Santa could, sneak up, because he can do that, right? And they're like, there's no way you could have made it through that tube. He's like, ho, I'm Santa Claus, boy, suck it.
Mic drop. Candy cane drop.
So anyways, Kimar comes running in. He's like, what's the alarm? Is there someone in the airlock? And Mars Cop goes, not anymore. Because he thinks that like blast them onto space. So he's got a couple. There's one more that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, the delivery that Mars Cop gives to his lines is wonderful. It really is.
Yeah.
Accentuated by the mustache.
So basically the Martians go to Earth, and then there's a news report of like, there's a mysterious spacecraft that's shown up, and it's probably the Russians. So here's 10 minutes of stock footage of the Air Force.
Yep, just prepping the Air Force.
Just planes taking off, and like pilots getting into planes, and just so much stock footage.
Yeah,
really pad that runtime.
Oh yeah,
because it's not that long. It's like maybe an hour and 10 minutes.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. It's like just the perfect length for it to be enjoyable and hilarious, but not overstay its welcome.
Yeah.
Because the other one definitely overstays its welcome.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The Santa Claus movie.
Yeah, no.
Headache inducing. I think 9 out of 10 viewers had headaches.
It's like the Star Wars Christmas special where you're watching it and you're just like, what? Why? What?
You wanted to give up on your own life.
No. And we had a rule where it's like you can't turn the movie off if it's bad. You have to slog through it.
Persevere.
Yeah, like if
it's a dumb rule.
It is. It is a dumb rule. I think. Okay, you know what? We'll get one every year. If it's so bad, we can turn it off and watch something else.
One a year. Okay.
But the entire group has to agree.
It's our New Year's resolution.
Yeah. The entire group has to agree.
Has to be unanimous. All right.
And after that, we're. Because I don't preview these movies usually.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah. We should fill in context for what we're talking about. We have a group of friends that we watch bad movies with, which is kind of the precursor to us doing this podcast. Mm-hmm. We call it Culture Night. Mm-hmm. And it basically, it used to be a lot more of a show, but I think we're kind of a lot poorer now.
Yeah, it used to be, it's Culture Night. So we'll like...
Get wine.
Get some nice wine. Maybe have a charcuterie board if you can.
Yeah. I would like if someone would bring dessert, right? We'd have like a fancy dessert plated.
I once did the dessert.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you did like a dingle puff and like a
I once
wagon wheels.
Yeah. As because it's Culture Night, but we're actually watching like shit movies. So I like made a really nice display of like these great plates with like a chocolate drizzle, but it was actually like fucking wagon wheels.
It was like wagon wheels with like some chocolate syrup and like one little like tuft of whipped cream next to it, and like an orange slice or something like that.
Oh,
it was good.
It was funny.
Good.
I like it.
So anyways, I'm in favor of that rule though. We can call it once.
I'm on board.
If it's like so horrible, but then the next one, if the next one's even worse, well, too bad. We're sitting through it.
All right.
I mean, I'm not gonna. People can leave if they want. I'm not gonna force them to
lock all the doors and windows.
And if everyone left, I'd probably turn it off because I'm not just gonna
sit there alone
and watch a shit movie. Yeah,
legit.
But we digress. So they show up on Earth, and they see a bunch of Santas. Like, oh, we can just get any of these.
Yeah, there's Santas all over the street.
Yeah. So then they land in the forest where there's just 2 kids. They don't just go down and get one off the street. They land in the forest. There's 2 kids hanging out there.
Yeah, why did they do that again?
A brother and a sister. And the brother's like, shut up, sister, I'm trying to sleep.
Even though they're in the woods.
Even though they're in the woods. And then all of a sudden, there's Martians there.
What were their names again? They were something like ridiculously samey that I hated.
It's like Timmy and Sally or something stupid like
I think it even started. I think it was even closer than that.
Timmy and Tina. Jimmy and
Billy and Betty.
Billy and Betty.
I think that's what it was.
I think you're right.
Like
Billy and Betty.
If you have 2 children, don't do that.
Well, I mean, technically you named them William and Elizabeth.
Did you though?
Betty's short for Elizabeth, right? What else?
I don't know.
No one's just named Betty. Like, no one's like, this is my newborn daughter, Betty. No one's handing you a baby named Betty.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard Betty in real life. Just in a few movies and Archie comics.
Yeah. I think it must be Elizabeth. Like, but also, like, why is William Billy?
I blame the British.
It's probably the Brits' fault.
Yeah.
Wonderful place. Never been. Hate the airport.
So the Martians.
are like, take it. We're here to take one of your Santa Clauses, and then they're like, there's only one Santa Claus, and he's in the North Pole. They're like, come with us, kids. And then they fly to the North Pole.
It is also important to note that they didn't just kidnap the kids, but like they went to go get information by talking to the kids.
Yeah.
And then decided, oh, but the kids have seen us, so
yeah.
Now they're coming with us forever.
Yeah.
But Mars Cop definitely wanted to kill them right then and there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He just wanted to off them.
Oh yeah.
But Kimar's like, no, we'll just take them.
No, we'll just take them with us. So then they're flying to the North Pole.
Uh-huh.
But they realize that their radar jammer isn't working. But apparently it hasn't been working this whole time. I don't know.
No, it after all the Air Force mobilized stock footage, they were like, we'll put up our radar jammer from our radar box, which in the cockpit is clearly labeled radar box.
Radar box. And it's a box. Like a wooden box. Like a newspaper box that kids who have a paper route go pick up their newspapers at. Like one of those.
Yeah.
It says that they glued some shit onto and like,
put some wires
put
inside.
a light socket on it so they could have a light bulb on it.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's great.
But no, what happened is that the kids actually sabotaged it while they were in flight.
Oh right. Okay, so then while they were in flight to Earth, they discovered that sleeping/hiding in the radar box was Droppo.
That was his name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who is like
Kimar's handicapped butler?
I was gonna say he's like the simple Jack of Mars.
The simple Jack. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Not quite as. Yeah, no, about that.
Yeah.
Like if I found out that Ben Stiller had based part of his Simple Jack performance on Droppo, I'd be like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay,
good draw. Okay. No doubt.
Because, yeah, he's. They never say that he is mentally challenged.
No.
Or slow.
No.
or anything like that. He's just kind of like, he's kind of bumbling, and kind of goofy, and kind of silly.
Mm-hmm.
But the implication is that he is
simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's very heavily implied by the performance.
He had gone to prep the airship,
Yeah.
and then realized he had never been on an airship before, so he hid in the radar box.
Yeah. So, anyways, they land at the North Pole, and they all go looking for Santa. And that's when they're like, let's leave the 2 children and Droppo alone on the ship, because nothing could go wrong if we do that.
I think. And then, like, Droppo just took him to the cockpit.
Yeah, and he's like showing them around, and then they're like, then they pull. Yeah, that's when he's like, oh yeah, this is the radar box. It opens up. See? And they're like, oh yeah, and then that's when they like.
Someone was coming up the elevator.
Yeah, so they hide in there.
And so Droppo was like, oh, I shouldn't have brought you up here. Hide. And they get in the radar box.
And then they also pull some wires loose from the radar sabotage.
Billy's like, well, fuck these Martians.
Yeah.
Direct quote.
Yeah. But then they leave also. They get off the ship at one point. They're like, we're going to walk home. Fucking dumb kids, man. we're going home. We don't.
Well, no, I think they wanted to go find Santa.
Oh, maybe that was it. Yeah. They're like, we got to go find Santa. Oh, yeah, we got to stop them from kidnapping Santa.
Yeah.
And
so they get off in the North Pole, like with like
he's got like a light jacket. It's
they
like
would have died right away.
It's like an April 14th jacket.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Real dumb.
Or whatever the quote is from Miss Congeniality.
I couldn't tell you exactly.
It's like what describe your ideal date? Like, I'd have to say April 14th. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. All you need is a light jacket.
Yeah.
So good. I don't know if it's the 14th. Don't at me. Actually, no, do at me.
Do it.
Send me the link, because I won't look it up.
No, we never do.
We never do look it up.
We need help from you, listener.
Yeah. Yes. So, anyways, they go wandering through the snow in the middle of the North Pole, and they end up getting attacked by a polar bear, which is the greatest scene ever put on film.
It is
and
amazing.
By greatest scene, I mean it's not that good, but it does have an amazing polar bear costume.
It's exceptional.
There's like, okay, let's break down the hierarchy of movie costumes.
Okay, let's do it.
Good movie, like, creature costumes. You got your Chewbacca.
Incredible. Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You got your E.T. There were parts where they had people using hands and stuff. Well, not really though. Okay, E.T. doesn't count. Chewbacca is tops, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
What other man in suit kind of costumes are like tip top? Like, what are we like? Oop.
Oh dear.
Oh my. Do you got any that are coming to mind?
I mean, my mind's just kind of stuck on Star Wars now.
Okay. I mean, there's a bunch in Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure.
Man in suit. Well, you mean you could do like you got your RoboCop.
Mm-hmm.
That's a suit of some. That's definitely below Chewbacca.
Yes.
Because it's dumb looking, but it works.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Planet of the Apes. I'd say is like kind of on the same level as RoboCop. It's like not as good as Chewbacca, because it has to deal more, I think, with like the uncanny valley kind of aspect of it, because it's supposed to look a little bit more human, because Chewbacca's a big space dog, and they're like, apes. They're supposed to, they're more simian.
And then below that, we've got, Alf.
then way below Alf is like Japanese TV show,
like Power Rangers,
Super Sentai, Monster of the Week.
Yes.
And then like 100,000 feet below that.
Gelpoo.
Well, okay, so hold on. So there's Japanese, and then there's like all those stupid Roger Corman monsters, the creature from the Black Lagoon, that kind of crap. And then actually, Creature from the Black Lagoon is not that. Whatever. And then, sorry, it goes Creature from the Black Lagoon, then Japanese TV show, then all of the Roger Corman like Night of the Blood Beast crap, and then there's the polar bear costume.
Below the barrel, not the bottom.
It's below the barrel.
You have
it's
to,
not.
You have to
it's
move
not
the barrel.
It's not
to get
in
to
the
it.
barrel. They put it on the ground underneath the barrel so that the barrel wouldn't scratch the floor. That's what they were using the polar bear costume in this movie for. It is a giant paper mache head.
Yep.
And then like
comically large,
a onesie with some cotton balls like glued to it or something to make it kind of look fluffy. Like they put cotton balls on it and then combed them.
That's why they didn't have enough cotton balls for the makeup. Someone had them all glued to his body.
Yeah. And then they're like, all right, Frank, you're a bear. You're a bear, Frank. Climb over the snow. And Frank can't see shit because he's got this giant paper mache head on. So he's like, all right, fucking crawling over the snow, like kind of
really
like half like falling into it. And like,
obviously just someone on their all fours.
It's so bad. And like, it's like flopping around. And like, you can tell that it's just like big pajamas. And then he's in like 3 shots.
Yep.
So at least they had
still priceless.
At least they had enough foresight to be like, this looks terrible. Let's try not to show it. Because the kids go hide in an ice cave, and the bear's like, I'm gonna get you in the ice cave. No, I'm fine. And he just leaves. But it is, if you watch nothing else from this movie, watch the polar bear scene.
It's so good. It looks so funny.
Is that fair? Is it like if you have to see one scene from this movie,
it's the polar
bear scene, right?
Hands down.
Absolutely. Next up might be Torg,
which happens immediately afterward.
Yeah, so if you're watching the polar bear scene, just keep watching a little bit. I'm pretty sure this movie's on YouTube for free.
Probably.
And if not, like someone upload it. It's clearly not. No one cares. Torg is like your classic bad science fiction robot.
Yeah.
It's a cardboard box on, body with like a bucket for a head, 2 huge eyes, a square mouth, dryer hose for arms
and legs, I think.
And legs, probably. Like Kleenex box shoes, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's so bad.
It is so bad.
So bad.
But perfect. I would change nothing about it.
Yeah.
And he busts into Santa's workshop, and the elves are like, "Oh, look, that's the biggest toy I've ever seen." And so he like bear hugs one of them or 2 of them. I think it might be 2 of them.
Yeah, I seem to recall him just picking up 2 elves.
Yeah, and like swinging them around. And then the Martians come in, and they're like, "Santa, dead or alive, you're coming with us."
Oh no! Well, what happens is like, he just kind of like manhandles 2 elves, and then like starts walking forward and like flips the table because he's fucking Torg.
Yeah.
And then an elf stands in front of him and like you can't, hurt Santa or whatever.
Yeah.
And just with his arms out. And then Torg just arms straight ahead, just like kind of forklifts him up so that this elf is just hanging on his front. And then Santa Claus talks to Torg really briefly and like walks around him being like, "Oh, you're such a big toy."
Yeah.
And that, for that reason, Torg never moves again.
Yes.
And the Martians are like, "Oh, you just turned him into a toy."
Right, that's what happens.
Which, like, what?
You paid more attention.
It was a great movie.
than I did. And I've seen it 4 times.
Well, there you go.
They also use their freeze guns on the elves, which make them stand perfectly still, but not.
They're trying real hard,
They're
though.
trying so hard. And I think they also use it on Mrs. Claus, don't they?
Yep.
And then they're like, all right, Santa, you're coming back to Mars. Mars needs Santa, and you're Santa, so you're going to come make toys on Mars. And he's like, okay. If there's one thing you can say about Santa in this movie is that he's pretty passive.
Yeah, you can't tell if it's like he's incredibly optimistic or he's just like baked.
I mean, he does have a pipe a
Mm.
lot of the time.
I think it blew bubbles though.
Oh yeah, it does blow bubbles.
Yeah.
But so he's kind of like, all right, cool, I guess I'll go to Mars. And they show up on Mars, and they're like, Santa, you're going to stay here on Mars. And well, then the shit happens on the spaceship with the airlock that we talked about earlier.
Oh yeah, that shit.
Then they make it to Mars, and I want to point out, Mars has like water on it in this version, which came out in like 1960 something, 64, I think, is when this movie came out.
Oh yeah.
Did they still think that there was water on Mars in
I think so. It was like that for a long time, wasn't it?
1964? 1964. 5 years later, we landed on the moon. I feel like they should have known at that point.
Nah.
They didn't have. I guess they didn't have deep space satellites at that point.
I don't remember.
Probably not.
Someone else look it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I found that weird. Because I remember, the canals of Mars and that kind of thing, right? And I think of it as like early, like 20th century, like late 18th century thinking, right?
Yeah.
Like John Carter of Mars, he goes to Mars and sails down the canals of Mars and like, whatever.
But yeah, they take Santa back to Mars.
Yeah.
And he's like all but genial to be like, yeah, I can make toys.
Oh, totally make
bring a
toys.
Christmas.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I think he says something along the lines of like, just so long as I get back to Earth for Christmas. And Kimar's like, oh no. And I actually wrote down the quote. Now you belong to Mars. And it has this dramatic, slow zoom in.
Oh yeah,
on
there's
Santa
a dramatic
Claus's
push
face.
in on Santa.
And he goes, oh no.
No. That's when he goes, ho, ho, ho.
Is that when he does that?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
That's the dramatic, like, oh shit. Like, ho, ho, ho. Which is, if you see two things in this movie, or three things, you have to see Santa do the dramatic ho, ho, ho. Because
so good.
That is fucking genius. Whoever thought of that, we're not worthy, because that is so goddamn funny. It's so
legitimately
fucking funny.
Yeah. Like that wasn't a craptacular moment. That was a real good joke.
That is a legitimately hilarious joke that happens in this crap film that is amazing. So they build, because the Martians are all about technology, they build a toy making machine that just prints baseball bats and dolls and choo-choo trains and teddy bears. And
yeah, it's got like a giant pre-programmed 3D printer.
Yeah.
Works real damn fast.
And Santa's just pushing buttons, being like, oh, let's make dolls and, hobby horses and all this kind of stuff.
Yep. But then,
all Earth dolls, by the way. Like, they're all humans.
Yeah.
They're not Martian dolls.
Yeah. So. Well, I guess Santa Claus was involved in the programming, and that's all he knows. Maybe.
Only children work in the toy making machine room.
Children and Droppo.
But Droppo gets kidnapped at one point, and they take him to a cave.
Yeah, well, he dresses up as Santa Claus.
Oh right, yeah.
And this has been going on, and meanwhile, Mars Cop has been like rallying dissenters.
Right.
And is like, we don't want joy and love. And at one point, he actually makes a statement that like Mars used to be the planet of war.
That's true.
And I was like, oh, that's like
someone actually
interesting
paid
to say,
attention,
because that's mythology that comes from Earth. But but also it's like, oh, that's.
But I mean,
that they would have that be something that was the past of Mars.
I would be okay making the argument that like maybe Martians had come to Earth at one point, and the ancient Greeks, they made contact with the ancient Greeks, and then that's when they were like, "Oh, Mars is the war planet." And I don't know.
I think it's safe to assume that that's what happened in this universe.
If you have to justify it in your mind, that is the only logical.
And I'm going to assume that it was Mars Cop who made contact, and they live forever.
Oh yeah, that's good too. Yeah,
Cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, "Fuck this shit.
Yeah.
We gotta kidnap Santa Claus." And then they find Droppo with like a pillow shoved into the front of the Santa Claus suit.
Right.
That Lady Momar made Santa, even though he's already wearing a Santa suit.
Right, because you gotta have two. You can't just. What's he gonna wear when he has to wash that Santa suit?
Can't just have one.
Can't just have one. So, first Droppo's like, "Man, I gotta get fat." So he just starts like shoving pills in his mouth.
Right, because
like
all the food is pills.
Yeah, so just like handfuls of pills just shoving. He's like, "Oh man, I got a long way to go."
He's loving it. He's like,
Yeah.
Butterscotch pudding, chocolate cake.
Yeah, and he's just pounding them back, and then immediately looks at himself in the mirror. He's like, "Shit, I'm still not fat enough." And so then he grabs a pillow and shoves it in the overalls and like puts the coat on and a beard and everything. And then
awkwardly tries to put the hat on top of his computer hat.
Yeah. And then two of Mars Cop's henchmen bust in. Let's call them Bomar
and Klinger.
Oh, right, because one guy looks
so much like
looks
Klinger.
exactly like Klinger from MASH, yeah. And they're like, "Come with us, Santa, you're going to the cave." And then they put him in a cave. And
have no idea that it's not Santa.
Have no idea that's Droppo, even though he
has a green face.
And a giant helmet with a tube that like comes and sticks it like a good foot out of your head.
Yeah.
Just a big fucking tube.
And like an antenna coming out the top.
Yeah. Oh boy. Anyways.
It was terrible.
So then Mars Cop sabotages the toy machine like by switching a bunch of the plugs around so that like teddy bears are printing with doll heads on them, and the baseball bats have tennis rackets on the top of them.
Yep.
It's still just a tennis racket.
Basically. Just a little less wieldy.
Yeah. So that happens, and they're like, "Oh no!" And then Droppo escapes while this is happening.
Yeah, Droppo actually does something highly intelligent that we don't understand. That we as an audience don't understand.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. He's in the cave with one of the henchmen, and the henchman turns on the atomic curtain.
Right.
Which I guess is some kind of force field that, if he tries to go through, his atoms will scatter.
Yeah.
And there are like two light bulbs in the front of the machine. And Droppo, while the other dude's not looking, switches the light bulbs.
Right.
He unscrews them and switches them and screws them back in. And then like he's like, whoa, and he starts to like run away. He's like, "What are you doing? You'll die because of the curtain." And then he just runs away. And then he's like, "What?" And he looks at the machine and he's like, "Ah," and goes and switches the light bulbs back. So Droppo like reverse engineered a highly sophisticated piece of technology is how I like to look at it.
Yeah.
When what he did was just switch light bulbs out of sockets.
Yeah. And so while that's happening, Santa and the children ambush Mars Cop with bubbles.
With bubbles, among other things.
Mm-hmm.
The bubbles, and then like
probably
shooting like foam balls at him.
Foam balls. Probably a paper airplane in there somewhere.
Yes, paper airplanes happen, or it might have even just been like toy airplanes.
Yeah.
And then eventually,
probably
just baseball bats.
Yeah.
Like they start wrapping him up with something too.
Probably stick gum in his hair.
Yeah, but then like they are
in
actually
his mustache.
just beating him with bats.
Yeah.
Like it's not childish at that point. It's like they're beating the shit out of this guy.
Yeah. And then Kimar comes running in. And he's like, "What's going on in here?" And they're like, "He wanted to ruin Christmas. But now we feel joy. We beaten a man with a bat."
And that's what the season's all about.
Well, I mean, maybe it plays into like the primordial Martian war culture, where it's like we can only feel true joy through violence.
Yeah. So really, Mars Cop won
In a
in
way.
the end.
In a way.
The only thing that he didn't win is that Santa was all like, "You don't need me here. You have a perfectly good Santa right here," and it's Droppo,
And it's
the Santa
Droppo in the
Claus.
Santa suit.
And Mars Cop would have hated that entirely.
Yeah.
But
Because Mars Cop's definitely an elitist,
oh yeah,
and wouldn't like a simple man like Droppo taking on such an important role,
not at all.
or such a stupid role, Santa Claus. In his mind, it's stupid.
In his mind, yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
So they send the kids and Santa back to Earth, and the children of Mars
Have their own Santa.
in
Droppo.
And Mars Cop is real mad, but he's
Goes to jail?
maybe must go to jail. Maybe they're like, all right, we'll untie you, but don't do it again. And he's like, okay.
I don't really. The actual ending of the story is greatly overshadowed by the outro music that we get.
Oh my god, sorry.
No.
Yes. It's the intro and the outro music.
Yes, that's right.
But at the ending there is a sing-along. And
the credits end long before the song does.
yeah. And maybe I will just insert a clip here. So that's that song.
It's amazing.
SANTA for Santa Claus. And that will never not be stuck in your head now.
Love it.
We watched this movie on Wednesday. Last week, Wednesday. And it is this week, Wednesday. We're recording this.
Mm-hmm.
We watched it a week ago. I have been singing that song in my head like all week, along with 50 Cent's In the Club.
Good mashup.
Because it was not at the same time. Because that song was in the trailer for Happy Death Day to You. And
Yeah.
So those two songs have been in my head.
That's gold. Yeah.
Yeah. Along with but that, to be fair, that song is never not in my head.
As it should be.
It's I feel like it's been stuck in my head for 4, maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
Just
Well, that never goes away.
no, it doesn't. Like I walk around just going like just whistling it, and then like someone, one of my coworkers was like, "Are you singing the Troy and Abed song?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's always in my head." And then like an hour later, he came back. He's like, "It's been stuck in my head constantly since you were whistling that. Like, what the hell is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, welcome to my hell."
Yeah, it's massively infectious.
Yeah, but I kind of don't mind. Like I'll just like walk around and just be like, like just humming it.
Yeah, it's pleasant.
It's just a thing to do. So anyways, obviously this movie is craptacular.
Oh, hands down, one of the most craptacular films I've ever seen.
It might be the most craptacular film that I know of.
I think it might
is
be.
a craptacular film of the highest order. It's exactly what you want out of a movie that is to be considered so craptacular,
Yeah,
so
it's
bad that
movies-
it's good.
It's movies like this that like give this podcast purpose.
Yeah, it's like it's so awful you can't help but enjoy it, with your friends. You just sit around, you laugh at it. Never,
So hard.
Never with it.
No.
Because it doesn't know. It doesn't.
True.
know.
Technically.
And you can't wait to watch it again because you know what's coming, and you're gonna laugh even more at it this time because you're so excited to see it again. It's like, yeah, it's up there with like the Galaxy Invader. And what was that other really crappy one we watched?
Slipstream.
Slipstream.
No, Future Hunters.
Future Hunters.
Future
Thank
Hunters
you.
was amazing.
Future Hunters is amazing. We should definitely watch Future Hunters for this podcast.
Yeah.
Or maybe, well, one thing we talked about doing is like a special. That's like not a specific movie review, but it's like us doing like we each bring like 5 movies and kind of do like mini reviews, or
The
like
ones that we already know are Craptacular.
movies we've already watched that we know are Craptacular, and we're like,
Mm.
you need to see these to if that's something you'd want to see. Write in. Okay, Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, there's a Rotten Tomatoes of this?
There is.
Oh, boy. Oh, it's got to be in the 90s, right? Okay, I'm going to guess 18.
No, slightly better.
Slightly better. Is
Slightly
it
better.
25?
24.
24.
Yeah.
Okay.
The audience score is
Still terrible.
is 27,
Slightly more.
which tells me that people have no taste.
Yep.
Yeah. Fucking watch this movie.
It's
Make it a holiday tradition. Get a bunch of your friends together and be like,
this year.
yeah, it's not too late. You can do it. Just get a bunch of friends together and be like, we need to watch this, and just experience it. Let it happen to you.
Yes. You will probably not regret it.
Probably not.
I don't know you, but I do know this movie.
I feel like
amazing.
if you've listened to all of the episodes of this podcast, I feel like you're probably the kind of person who will enjoy this movie on a hilarious level.
Yeah.
If you've gotten this far. If this is your first episode, maybe not.
But also hi.
But also welcome here. Please stick around. Check out the back catalog. We'll be back in January with another movie.
Catalog of different backs. Like
A-
men.
A camel back. A broke back.
Quarterback.
Quarterback. Nice. A nickel back.
Oh no.
No, just one.
Oh.
The bassist. I think the bassist is Chad Kroger's brother.
Is it?
I think so.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I didn't. Okay. Cool. Next with that guy.
Well, good for him, I guess.
Yes.
Anyways, did you see the trailer for the Once Upon a Deadpool
No.
thing that they're doing where Fred Savage is like, you're like the Nickelback of Marvel. And then Deadpool goes on this rant about like, hey, Nickelback has sold like more than blah blah records, and continues to, and like goes, and then they sing How You Remind Me.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, you're right, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that about Nickelback. And then there's like this awkward silence, and Fred Savage is like, couldn't cut it as a poor man stealing. Tired of living like a blind man. And then like Deadpool joins in.
Oh my gosh.
Sick aside without a sense of... And then they're like, yeah.
I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Oh, also, everyone watch Rage Against Vanessa Carlton. Carlton. Watch Rage Against Vanessa Carlton.
Now that actually has been stuck in my head all week.
Oh, dude. I tried playing it at my work Christmas party.
Yeah.
People were not feeling it.
Oh no. That's too bad.
But they're wrong.
Yes.
'Cause-
it is legitimately my favorite song mashup in existence.
It's
love
up
it.
there, man. It's up there for me.
Perfect for me.
It's almost as good. Like for me, I think there's 2 that beat it. well, one for sure, which is oh shit. It's Getting Hot in Here by Nelly.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting hot in here.
Oh yeah.
So take off all your clothes. Mashed up with the Bee Gees' Staying Alive.
Oh.
I'll show you after.
That sounds good.
It's great. And there's another really good one that mashes up Bootylicious with Superstition by Stevie Wonder.
Oh.
If you YouTube search Booty Stition, it comes up.
Nice.
Yeah, it's tight.
Rock on.
So anyways, should I do the end of the show?
Yeah.
Let's do the end of the show. If you liked this show, thank you for listening.
Appreciate it.
You please, if you don't mind, give us a review on iTunes, preferably 5 stars. Even if you didn't like the show, give us a 5-star rating and then write a comment about how terrible we are. Because it's really just the 5-star rating that helps the algorithm, helps. The more 5-star ratings you get, the higher on the ranking it goes, then the more people can find the show. So if you, I don't know, are like some sort of weird anarchist where you're like, I hated this, but I also want more people to hear it. 5-star rating.
I want more people to hate it.
Yeah, I want more people to hate it. That's how we get them. Okay. All right. Yeah. So if you want other people to also hate this along with you, 5-star rating, write a comment about how shit it is.
That'll really stick it to us.
Yeah. Fuck us. Am I right? But if you genuinely liked it, also give us a 5-star rating and you can write a nice review where you can be like, this was funny. That's you. This is you. You sound like this. Oh, this was funny.
This was funny.
I'm a guy who would bother to rate and review a podcast on iTunes. What am I doing?
You're literally making fun of people for doing the thing that you want them to do.
Yeah, so anyways, do that.
But also kind of making fun of me at the same time.
No, I didn't mean you. I was talking to the listener, but I was looking at you.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's hard to tell.
Because there's no one else here.
Yes.
Except Hank.
Hey, Hank.
Hey. If you are listening to this and you don't know how you found it, let me tell you. You can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, the podcast, any sort of podcatcher app, Spotify. We got a YouTube channel, Google Play, iHeartRadio. We're on all of these things. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, Instagram at RetroCrapPod. Hit us up on any of those if you got comments, questions, concerns. And that is it for us for this year. We're going to be back next year.
Yeah.
Talking about other stuff. I want to do more of this kind of movie.
Yeah.
Old, weird, nonsensical. Let's go back to the heart of what it
sounds good, man.
What it used to be. What the original intention was before we went all corporate and sold out.
Sold out to...
I don't know.
To who?
More movies like Chopping Mall and...
Yes.
Hopefully less movies like Message from Space. But let's face it, we're probably going to get at least
those
one.
are going to happen.
Yeah.
But then we'll know.
Then we'll know. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So yeah, if you recommend a movie to us, by the way, because
we love it when that happens.
Yeah, we don't always want to do like we've kind of been doing like if like a movie that's like related, to like something that else is coming into theaters, so that we can like kind of piggyback on the fact that people are talking about that a little bit sometimes, right? Give us a little bit of a boost. Like for example, when the new Godzilla movie comes out next year, we're definitely watching the Matthew Broderick Godzilla.
Right, it has been a long time.
Oh, I fucking love it. Spoiler alert, I fucking love it. And I don't care.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so, shoot us a recommendation on any of those things I talked about earlier. Email, Twitter, whatever. Just let us know what you want us to watch if you think you got a movie that we should talk about. And you know what? Maybe we will.
Only one way to find out.
Well, I can't guarantee it. We only do one episode a month, so I gotta,
Yeah.
pick and choose. But if it's a real good recommendation, decent chance we'll do it. Might be like 6 months from now, but we might do it. So hold out hope, man.
But also, if you don't want to hold out hope and you want to legitimately force us to watch and review a movie for you,
boom, totally forgot about it. That's why I keep you around.
You can actually just make us do that.
Yeah,
with like a
money.
very small amount of money.
It's like $5 a month.
Yeah, it's like it's like nothing, and then we have to watch a movie.
It's like you could support a kid on World Vision, or you could make us watch a movie.
It's a horrible comparison.
Or you know what?
To make.
Both of them are cheap enough that you could probably do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do both.
Yeah. Be a better person. It's the season of giving.
If you sponsor this show before the end of this year, we will tell you to also go sponsor a World Vision child.
I was wondering where that was going. Yeah, I don't know. It's Christmas. Maybe they got a 2-for-1 deal or something at World Vision.
Probably not.
I doubt it.
I don't think that's how sponsor a child works.
I wouldn't know. I've never done it.
All right.
As a poor child myself, I wouldn't know.
Oh, well, that's it for us this year.
Yeah.
2019's been a real year.
It's 2018.
What did I say?
2019.
It's coming up.
It's coming up hard and fast.
Both those adjectives.
So until next time, keep watching crap.